If I could describe
Jim Spore in one word.
One word.
In one word, it would be
Consistent.
Patient.
Steady.
meticulous,
Brilliant.
Bold. Legend.
resilience.
Visionary.
"50 years ago, when I started in this business as an unpaid intern, I worked with the city manager in a town called Elgin, Illinois. At that time, I was going to be an architect. And through that internship, over several summers and Christmas breaks and that, I just got hooked on it. It was exciting work. Every day was different. And so I went back and changed my major to city planning. And I went back to school after I'd been out for a while and got a master's in public administration. I thought, well, maybe I would like to be a city manager. You can get more done. You can think the big thoughts as a planner, but if you really want to implement something, you better be the city manager. So the first time I found out about Virginia Beach was from Tom Muhlenbeck when he was in Plano, Texas, which was right next to where I was managing in Garland, Texas. And he said, boy, Virginia Beach is open. It's a great community. You ought to apply. So I sent in my application.
He had done his homework. He knew a lot about what was already going on in the city, and he also had come in and you could tell had toured the city to see what it was truly like, and that impressed me.
I got here on Halloween Day, 1991, and my interview was going to be the next day. I came in early and wanted to go to a council meeting. And so I just kind of snuck in and sat in the back row and watched the council in action. So I just wanted to see what the leadership in the community was like.
It was a divided council, and that wasn't a whole lot of fun. You know, you were just trying to get 6 votes, get 6 votes, get 6 votes. I've always thought it's best to have 11 votes, and I think we're just about there now, but I'll never forget it was 6-5. You know, that was a win.
We spent a lot of time working on just basic team building those first couple years, really trying to align the organization around the direction that the council was setting. The thing that I'm very proud of is our city council and the job that they've done over the years in spending time to conduct goal-setting workshops and to really think about the long-range future of the city. We've done it every year for the last 24 years, and they've done a great job.
I think when we had these retreats, there was so much that we all agreed on. He was a visionary and had a planning background to make that come to fruition as far as, you know, visualizing it.
And I think we've done a spectacular job in terms of really transforming a very large, sprawling suburban community into a really great city that's got a wonderful future.
One thing that stood in the way of Virginia Beach's bright future: water. Specifically, no reliable source of drinking water. It took Virginia Beach 15 years to get its own independent water source, the Lake Gaston Pipeline, and it came after a long, ugly fight.
That was certainly a landmark project, there's no question about that. Probably one of the ones that will retain a very high point of status for the history, not only again of Virginia Beach, but for this region. I think he was part of the glue that held that engineering team, that held that public policy team, that held our public leaders, our elected leaders, focused on what needed to be done there, and we're reaping the benefits today.
I remember when I was in Texas, and this is after I'd been hired, but before I actually got here. It was like, I think it was like the day before Christmas. Mail comes, here's this envelope, and it says in the front, "The United States of America versus the city of Virginia Beach." And it was a lawsuit on the Lake Gaston Pipeline. We were in litigation with the EPA, North Carolina. We were fighting everybody over where to get the water supply. So I thought, what have I gotten myself into?
If we didn't have Lake Gaston, you know, this city would be scrambling for water. Jim's great strength, his great commitment here was getting everybody to stay on board and stay the course all the way to the end.
I remember Aubrey Watts saying to me, you know, the Gaston's almost across the goal line. It's probably 3-4 months and you'll have it licked. Well, it was 7.5 years after that. And we went through that water moratorium period where for 7 years you couldn't get a building permit to connect to the public water system.
I just think that it would clearly have been the end of Virginia Beach as a dynamic, vibrant community. it would have been a different kind of community and not nearly as, no chance of prosperity like we enjoy today.
I remember Lewis Jones, John Baum, and Jim Spore traveling to Carolina, to across Virginia. All that was part of getting the water to Lake Gas, from acquiring right-of-ways to trying to prevent from going to court. They spent a lot of time on the road, but they got the job done.
Most things come in their own time, and that's a big part of what you only can learn by doing it is how hard do you push, when do you push, when is the community ready for certain things. That's a big part of the manager's job, is trying to work with the council and figure that out.
Another roadblock to Virginia Beach's future was land, specifically the lack of land for the kinds of projects that would spur major investments, create jobs, and generate revenue to support the growing city. By 1991, much of the northern half of Virginia Beach was already developed. Only one large chunk of land remained, Lake Ridge, and in 1994, it was for sale, but not everyone thought the city should buy it.
Princess Anne Commons is probably, in addition to Town Center, probably the preeminent example of that partnership mentality and what it can produce for a city.
There's 1,192 acres of land that the city bought for something in the neighborhood of $9 million. That was really our Louisiana purchase for this city. It opened up all kinds of opportunities.
That's how we go from just local government doing basic services and nothing else to how do we really create that visionary city of 2040 or beyond that we really want this place to be.
You partner because it's cost effective. You partner because it avoids unnecessary duplication of effort. You partner because it leverages individual strength to a greater whole. It's practically, politically, the smart thing to do. And philosophically, it's where the world is headed. Jim Spore got that before everybody was talking about it.
Calling Princess Anne this quarter a crown jewel is very appropriate. LifeNet Health plays a big role as far as anchoring the biotechnology firms in Virginia Beach. We continue to grow. The city has been extremely helpful. People like Jim Spore, the mayor, have facilitated many of the balance of life, the opportunities for us to grow. We have worked with them. I am part of the Biotask Force that is looking to bring clusters of biomedical science to this area. And Princess Anne is really an epicenter.
What was once Lake Ridge is now the thriving Princess Anne Commons. Today, it includes the new Centera Princess Anne Hospital, LifeNet, Operation Smile, and Children's Hospital. There's also the Virginia Beach Sportsplex, the Field House, the Soccer Complex, Virginia Beach National Golf Course, and soon, a professional baseball stadium and softball complex. Let's not forget about Tidewater Community College, the Advanced Technology Center, and the ODU NSU Higher Education Center, and of course, the Virginia Beach Amphitheater.
That first meeting of ours, we had no idea that what would come out of that would be a joint use library that's the envy of others. We had no idea what would come out of that. Is an unbelievable student center on water? Who would have guessed that? When we leveraged what each entity could bring to the table, we built the cathedral, not the church.
We learned that the surest way to economic development is quality of life.
And the winner of that is, of course, at the end of the day, the people. It is a signature piece of his tenure as city manager.
One of the biggest problems facing the city in the 1990s was right there in its name, Virginia Beach. The resort beach was so narrow, it barely protected the homes and hotels behind it. The solution was a massive project called Operation Big Beach, which tripled the width of the beach and created a new seawall and boardwalk.
I remember walking along the beach there at 42nd Street, where at high tide the water literally was up against the old seawall there, and you could not walk down the beach. There was no beach left. So that big beach project was enormous. The seawall and the pump stations, that was a $125 million project. That was enormous. And that set the stage for the private sector to make investments in hotels and redo much of the investment, the private investment at the oceanfront. I think if they didn't feel confident that their investment was going to be there after the next storm, I think a lot of that would not have happened.
We've made it much more attractive physically, but what we've also done is learn how to bring in the visitor from a lot of different places after September.
As our season expands, so will the revenues that come into the city, and the public investment will start producing big dividends, and the private sector will become more and more comfortable about building product that is more in keeping with what the overall vision of a true first-class, 4 seasons, 12-month resort will be.
Virginia Beach has experienced tremendous growth in the last 25 or 30 years, and city leadership has managed that growth in a way that it protects our quality of life. It has protected the natural resources. In Virginia Beach, we have the only urban river in the state of Virginia that meets the rigorous water quality standard for shellfish harvest. And we have the cleanest beaches on the East Coast. And those things don't happen by accident. They happen because of a commitment from leadership in the city and a commitment from the citizens. And it's something I think we in Virginia Beach should be very proud of.
You go down there today, listen to the symphony playing, look at the moon over the Neptune statue and the park and the band shell. You go, this is one of the greatest spots in the country right here.
Virginia Beach has a long and proud relationship with the U.S. military. Not only is it home to several military facilities, including the Navy's East Coast Master Jet Base, Naval Air Station Oceana, but the Department of Defense spends nearly $15 billion annually in the Hampton Roads region. So when the Base Realignment and Closure Commission threatened to move our biggest employer, Naval Air Station Oceana, with its 12,000 employees and beautiful booming jets in 2005, the city mobilized its resources to prevent the loss of the base. It was a tough time for Virginia Beach and for the Navy.
Tremendously difficult to go through those things and to listen to the people that were affected by it and listen to the various ideas on what to do, and listen to the Navy and what they understood and what they thought they understood and what they didn't understand. Try to get our two ways of doing things, which are tremendously different, together. And we put together a package, which I recall was in 2005. We made that presentation to the City Council just before Christmas, and the City Council gave the staff a standing ovation.
There's always a feeling that we're under attack. And it's a feeling where, you have to circle the wagons, so to speak, because we as a community are being, they're questioning our viability, our future. We believe in what we have here. The community is strong and the mission is important. And for people to almost question that, it does put us on the defensive. I've been around the world 29 years doing this, and this is one of the places where there's a transparency between both the city and the base that you don't see most places. It's all about relationships, and you can't manufacture the trust any other way than building a relationship, and that's what we've done with Jim and his folks.
Every community faces adversities, and Virginia Beach is no exception. Some are small and the effects are fleeting. Others involve losses of property, and still others result in tragic losses of lives. The resilience of a community is measured in part by how its leaders prepare for and then guide people through the challenges and recovery efforts. One such event came in 2012 when a Navy jet crashed into an apartment complex off Bird Neck Road.
I've never been more proud of our first responders. I've never been more proud of our citizens. And all the training that Jim Spore made sure was being done, which he prayed you'd never have to use, but it had to be used that day, and it worked absolutely perfect.
Managing growth is a major responsibility for city leaders. The boom years of the 70s and 80s were over, but there was still pressure to develop the rural southern half of the city with its huge agriculture industry. City leaders protected Pungo and beyond by holding the Green Line and by promoting concentrated growth in the northern half of the city. In the Pembroke area, the goal was to create a brand new downtown for Virginia's largest city. It was a long time coming.
Things like the town center had been talked about before. Nobody really took those plans seriously at that time. I remember looking at the Central Business District Association plan that the council had endorsed for the town center and talking to council members about it. The reaction was, that'll probably never happen. You know, it's a good thing to think about, but I don't think we can ever make that happen. Well, we've said, you know what, we're going to make that happen, and we did.
Everybody thought I was crazy. I had resistance from, naturally, Norfolk, who saw this as potential competition. I had resistance from the typical folks in the market who say you can't do anything that's progressive, just stay as status quo and not see life advance. The politicians didn't get the picture either, and the other developers in the market were used to two-story office buildings, three-story office buildings. High-rise office building was an anathema to them.
We had a number of property owners come forward to try to assemble that area, to develop it. Nothing worked out. There was false start after false start. And finally, you know, Gerald Tavares and Armando Hoffler were able to play a really, really strong and good role in being the entity to push that forward.
Now, Town Center offers the mix of residential, retail, restaurant, and entertainment options of an urban environment and is an economic engine for the city. It includes 110 business tenants, 700 residents, 3,000 public parking spaces, and 1 million square feet of business space. It generates $7 million a year in business taxes alone.
The citizens need to recognize that the City Council, with Jim Spore, were extremely protective of the city's interests and negotiated a very, very fair program that secured the city's future. And the safeguard was, if there were insufficient tax revenues to meet the bond, the developer had to make up the difference. So it never, ever caused the city the potential of a financial loss. And that agreement still exists today.
A cornerstone of Town Center's success is right here in this building, the Sandler Center for the Performing Arts. The idea for the Sandler Center began after the Pavilion Auditorium was torn down. A replacement was needed, and some people wanted a basic, functional auditorium to take its place. But some, including Jim Spore, saw greater possibilities. Private fundraising efforts brought in more than $12 million. Along with $35 million in city funding, the Sandler Center has become the center of arts and entertainment in Virginia Beach.
I feel very proud to live in Virginia Beach. During the many years that I have been here, I have seen so many changes. Now we have a beautiful oceanfront, we have a town center, and a Sandler Center where now people from other cities come to ours to experience beautiful art.
There were enough people who believed in it that they were willing to go out and argue for it and to put forth the rationale for it. If we're going to really be a big city, if we're really going to be a cosmopolitan, sophisticated city, you have to buy into the arts. Jim knew that, and he understood that, and he knew that we wanted a jewel of some sort here to do that. So he encouraged it, and he helped it, and he backed those of us who argued for it.
More than 450,000 people call Virginia Beach home, and millions of visitors enjoy the services and amenities this city provides. From collecting trash, maintaining our beaches, and providing recreational activities, to making sure there's plenty of water to drink, books to check out, safe streets to explore, and good roads to travel. The 7,000 city employees and 18,000 city volunteers work to provide the highest quality of services. For 24 years, Jim Spore has focused on developing employees, aligning the work around the City Council's strategic priorities, and engaging residents to make Virginia Beach a community for a lifetime.
I meet with every new employee in this organization and I say, you know what, you're taking the jersey, you're on the team. You know, if you thought you're going to get rich working for the city, you might want to look somewhere else. But I'll tell you what, you're going to be doing something that matters.
One of the things that I find very unique about the city of Virginia Beach is the way he has incorporated various citizens in the city in the process of leading the city forward. And I think that's very unique. You know, I've always taken the philosophy that a good leader recognizes that you need good followers. And that's one of the things that Jim Spore has done. He has created an environment where the citizens really feel like they have a vested interest. And so we all have become good followers, and that really has moved the city forward.
I think it's the aspect of public service that kind of brings us all together. We're all thinking about something that's really bigger than ourselves. We're thinking about making a place better for people. And when you're motivated by that, that's a pretty positive motivation.
Yes, we are the largest city in the Commonwealth of Virginia, but we have citizens who love this community and want to do everything they can to make it better. It's clear as day that Jim Spore, and I want to also say his wife, truly love our city.
There was a point in time when city managers' life was like the life of a baseball manager. Their average lifespan on the job was 3 to 5 years. If Fleers put out city manager cards the way they did baseball cards, I would definitely want a 1991 Jim Spore card. And I would also like to have a rookie card.
I see nothing but a bright future for the beach in so many areas in terms of just continued quality education, great economy, unbelievable environment, great history, great diverse population. You put all that together, this is going to be one of the finest cities in the world. There is no question about that in my mind. You can't beat it. And when I retire, we're staying here. We love it here.
2,000 years ago, citizens of ancient Greece recited something called the Athenian Oath. It is a code of civic responsibility. It says, in part, we will transmit this city not only not less,
but greater, better, and more beautiful than it was transmitted to us.
Virginia Beach is greater and more beautiful than it was in 1991. The architect of the beach helped make it so.
If I could describe
Jim Spore in one word.
In one word, it would be
Consistent.
Patient.
Steady.
meticulous,
Brilliant.
Bold.
Legend.
resilience.
Visionary.